Welcome to CompuScholar's Professional Development webinar for September 2021. This is our first webinar of the new school year, and we've got a lot of great things planned. Today we're going to take a close look at our new assignment engine. My name is Chris Just, and I'll be hosting your webinars again this year. I spent about 20 years as a software engineer before helping to found CompuScholar and write the curriculum that you'll be using. If you have any questions and comments, you're always welcome to send those to me at chris.just@compuscholar.com. So today, again, we're going to focus on our new assignment engine. We'll start off with a brief overview, and then we'll take a look at the two courses that are impacted by this new technology this year, our Digital Savvy course and our Java programming course, and then wrap up with a few notes on future enhancements. Big picture, the new assignment engine is a mechanism for working online instead of offline. So we wanted to provide some additional ways for students to work directly in the web browser, be able to do their work online, to submit files online, and provide some additional ways where we could either automatically grade student work or provide a nicer way for teachers to grade student work. And so those are our goals for the new assignment engine. Let's just define a few terms first. We're using the word assignment as a placeholder to mean some sort of chapter level activity or a set of homework problems. And an assignment will map to a grade in your electronic gradebook. Now, an assignment may have one or more problems within the assignment. And there are different types of problems. One common type of problem will be a coding problem, and these coding problems will be automatically graded by the system. Another type of problem is a free-form question and answer. So if we want the students to type in sentences or paragraphs in response to some sort of question, that would be a free-form Q&A. And those things would be teacher graded. We also have a type of problem that we're going to call sequencing or drag and drop, where the students can arrange things in certain orders, and that again will be auto graded. And we may come up with other types of problems over time. So as I mentioned, there are two courses that will make use of the new assignment engine this year. First is our Digital Savvy class. And if you're familiar with Digital Savvy in previous years, you will remember that the first 8 or so chapter activities had a lot of free-form Q&A. So we asked the students a lot of questions, asked them to do research and find out some answers to things and type free-form sentences and paragraphs in response. And we had come up with these fillable PDFs that the students could download, upload those fillable PDFs, and then upload them to the system for the teacher to grade. And we wanted to automate that process a little bit better. So this year we're using our new assignment engine to replace those first 8 chapter activities. So now those activities are still the same activities, but they can be done completely online, so you don't have to do any sort of local file management, fiddle with any PDFs, or anything like that. And we're using that free-form problem type that I described earlier. It's still a teacher-graded problem type, but all of the students' answers will be online. So let's switch over to our Digital Savvy course and take a look at this new feature. So I'm logged in as a sample teacher, and we'll go into a Digital Savvy course. And let's go into a chapter and scroll down to see the activity. You'll notice there's a slightly different icon type, a little puzzle piece there. And when a teacher clicks on this activity, you'll have some management tools for previewing the questions and so forth. And then once students start submitting work, you'll see those in a list here. You can click on Teacher Preview to see a preview of the questions that are asked by this particular activity. You can click View Solution to see some hints about what we would expect to see in each of the answers that the students provide. Some of our assignments can be configured. In this particular case, there's nothing to configure, so there's nothing to see there. So let's go ahead and switch over to a student view. I'm logged in as a student now, and we'll go into the same Chapter 1 activity. Click on the activity link, and the student will see the questions right away. And you can see the overall grade is not graded at this point. So the students will simply type in their free-form questions and answers. And I won't bother to fill in all the blanks here. But you can go all the way down to the bottom as a student. You can save your work if you want to come back to it later. And then when you're ready, submit to the teacher. Now, because this is a teacher-graded activity, the student now sees a note that the answers have been submitted and the teacher has not yet graded the work. If we go back to the teacher side of things and refresh our view, we can now see a line for our demonstration student. We can see when they submitted the activity and the fact that it's not graded. And you've got a little bell icon out here that says there's some work that's awaiting your action. If you want to delete the student submission for any reason, you can do that here. So that will remove the grade from the gradebook and allow the student to submit new work if you want them to do that. Or you can take a look at the work that they have submitted and grade those problems. Now, if you want to, you can always type in a direct numeric grade here if you want to just do that without looking at the individual answers, so that's fine. Or you can scroll down and take a look at the individual answers, and underneath each answer is a slider. So each answer would start off with 0 points, and you can slide it all the way up to 5. And so 5 is maximum credit, 4, 3, 2, 1 and partial credit, and 0 is no credit at all. And so you can do that for each one of these things. You can give some feedback if you want to. And as you slide these points around, if you look up at the top, you'll see that the problem grade is automatically updated. So the system, based on the points that you allocate, you can see the problem will be updated. And if you assign maximum points to all of the student answers, then that will add up to 100%. And you can see we've got 100% here now, so I'm going to save the grade. Confirm. So this student's grade is now saved into the gradebook. We can return to list. You can see that little bell icon has gone away and the grade is 100%. And if you want to, you can go into the gradebook and you can see that student grade there for that particular activity. Back on the student side of things, if they come into the activity now, they can see the grade that the teacher has assigned, along with any feedback that the teacher provided. So as you can see, this is a very streamlined, straightforward online way for students to do free-form questions and answers. And within the Digital Savvy course this year, the first 8 or so chapters will make use of this new facility. Once you get into chapters 9 and beyond, the students are still creating files and digital artifacts offline and submitting those files to you for grading. But we think you'll really enjoy the new assignment feature for the first 8 chapters. Next, let's turn our attention to the Java programming course. So something that we've wanted to do for a long time in our Java programming course is provide additional homework exercises. So we really wanted to give the kids plenty of new coding opportunities where they weren't just doing a single work with me within the lesson and then leaping right to the chapter activities. So now we have rolled out new homework exercises for each of the chapters in the Java programming class. These are predominantly those coding problem types, so they're auto-graded. And we aimed for about, on average, 2 problems per lesson or 4 to 8 problems per chapter. So that will vary a little bit depending on the lessons. Now these problems are saved and graded, and so there is a grade in the gradebook. However, by default, there is no weight assigned to those grades in the gradebook. So there's 0% weight for the homework category. There's a new category called homework, and it just doesn't have any weight assigned to that. So from a default perspective, the homework assignments are optional, but certainly they're highly recommended for student practice. If you do want to assign weight to these problems in the gradebook, then you can do that. You can configure that in the teacher menu, and I'll show you how to do that in a moment. So just to clarify the difference between those work with me exercises that you'll find within the lessons and the homework exercises, the work with me lesson exercises are intended to be very easy, confidence building exercises with a lot of detailed guidance. The students don't save or submit that work, and they have student facing solutions that are typically right there within the lessons. By contrast, the homework exercises are submitted, they are auto graded. You may opt to weight them in the gradebook as I mentioned above, and the solutions are not student facing. So the new homework exercises are kind of a halfway step between the really easy work with me lesson exercises and the graded chapter activities. So let's flip over to our Java course and take a look. All right, back on my teacher dashboard, we'll go into Java. And let's just go down here to chapter 3. And if we scroll all the way down, you can see we've got the chapter 3 homework again. So when I click on this as a teacher, you can see work that students may have submitted. You can click on preview again. And you can see there are a number of different problems here along the left. This particular chapter has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 problems. So again, on average, we aimed for about 2 problems per lesson or 4 to 8 problems per chapter. That may vary a little bit depending on the nature of the chapter and the lessons. We do have a naming convention you might see here on the left. So the L2 means this problem was mostly derived from lesson 2 within the chapter. And the .1 just means it's the first problem from that lesson. So L2.1 means this is a homework problem for chapter 2, and it's the first problem. And L2.2 just means it's the second problem for that lesson. So if you want students to come in here and do the homework piecemeal, working on a daily basis, lesson by lesson, they can come in here and just do the work for lesson 2, and then later on come back and do the work for lesson 3, and so on. So the students can save their work for each of these problems individually. So with the problem selected, you can see the problem description here on the right. So there's some instructions on what we want the students to code. There's some example output, and then the live coding box where the students can type in their code and run it as many times as they want to confirm the output. Now, as the teacher, if you want to experience things just like a student, you can do that right here. So you can type in your own code. You can run that code. And down at the problem, you can save, so you can come back later. And you can preview, which will run your code against the test cases and give you the same sort of grade that a student might get. And by the way, if you or a student believe that you just kind of need to start over with a fresh set of code, you can click on Reset Problem. That will remove all of your work and take you back to whatever default starting code we provide. So you can just click on the tabs here on the left to see each of the problems in this homework exercise. Let's go back to the list. So as a teacher, you can also view the solution. So it's exactly the same interface. However, we simply provided solution code. So again, you can run the solution code and see how it works. There are some configuration things you can do with these coding assignments. First, at the top, you can select a number of previews. So you may want to allow the students unlimited previews where they can actually run their code against the test cases and see if they get 100% and let them do that as many times as they like. Or you can provide a more limited number of previews. So the students can always run their code as many times as they like, but it's a question of whether or not we're running that code against the autograder to produce an actual grade. Once the student runs out of previews, then the student would actually need to submit the work to the teacher in order to get that final grade. So you can also see in this configuration screen there's a list of the problems, a brief description. You can preview if you want to. And over here you can decide whether or not that problem is included in the homework. So if you look at a problem and you decide you don't want students to see that problem, you can just toggle that off here on the side, and then the problem will disappear from the student list. So you would just save that configuration in order to control what problems the student sees. If you need to download the student's work to local files, you can do that here. So that will produce a zip file with all of the student's work, and then you can save that off on your local computer. All right, let's go take a look at this from a student perspective. All right, as a student, I'll go into that same chapter, click on the same homework link, and now as a student, again, I can look at each one of the problems. Let's just start with this one. I'm going to go ahead and type in super fast. You can run the code as a student. Again, if you want to start over with a fresh set of starting code, you can do that. You can save your work. You can preview it. So let's preview. And if you scroll on down, you can see that I passed all the test cases and that my proposed grade is 100%. So when the student is ready to submit, they can come back to the Code tab and submit for the final grade. Okay, because this is an auto-graded problem, you can see the grade is finalized here. The overall grade for this homework is now moved up to 17%, so that is a reflection of the student having done one of the 6 or so problems that are assigned to this homework assignment. And as the student completes additional problems, that homework grade will go up. Let's go back and look at the teacher side again. So now in the teacher view, you can see the new line belonging to this demo student where I just completed that one homework problem. Take a look at that. Again, if you want to override the auto-graded results for any reason, you can do that here and save a new grade. You can see and run the student's code. You can take a look at the auto-graded results, and if any of those test cases had failed, you would see more details here. And naturally, there's nothing yet to see over here in these other problems because the student hasn't submitted them yet. And there are different icons that will appear when the student has submitted that work. And you can delete the grade if you want to. So if a student has submitted a particular problem and you want to give them another chance on that problem, you just come in here, look at that specific problem, and delete the grade, and that will allow the student to submit new work. If you want to unsubmit all of the problems in that assignment, you can click delete over here on the main list, and that will unsubmit all of the students' problems, and then they can go back in there and reattempt all of the problems at once. So as you can see, the new homework and assignment engine is pretty easy to use. We'd encourage you to take a look at it, experiment with it from a teacher and student perspective. We'd love to hear your feedback on this. The feature is available to all teachers that are using our 2021 course. These new homework assignments and activities and so forth for both Digital Savvy and Java are available to teachers and schools that are hosting in another learning management system like Schoology and Canvas. So it'll work through those systems as well. One last thing I do want to show you is on your teachers menu. If you click on Configure Course and scroll down to the bottom, there's a new category weighting feature. So you can see the default weights that we've assigned to exams, quizzes, and activities. And as mentioned before, homework starts off at 0%. If you want to assign some sort of weighted credit to the homework, you can do that. Just make sure to adjust some other category so that your totals add up to 100%. And just click on Save Changes when you're done. And so this is how you would add some sort of weight to the homework if you want to require that students will do that for an impactful grade. So that's our new starting point for this year. We do certainly have some great things in store in the future. We want to spread this homework and assignment concept to our other courses. So over time, you'll start seeing additional homework problems crop up in other courses, and we'll develop new types of problems as we need to. We've already had some teacher requests this year for some coding sandboxes. So we recognize that you would like to be able to type in your own sample code for your students, maybe save that on a permanent basis. You might want to have multiple coding sandboxes that you can create in different chapters for your own use. So we recognize that as a feature request, and we'll be working on that. And we'd love to hear your other feedback and suggestions. So again, a lot of the things that we do is a direct result of your suggestions, and we love getting those. So if you have any of those suggestions, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Thank you so much for watching our first professional development webinar, and we look forward to a great 2021 school year.